Hello everyone, Feed here. As you can see, I play some DD2 on the side, and it can be a bit of a struggle sometimes, since the game is not easy. So I want to show you what I believe is the best comp in the game to beat everything, even at the hardest difficulty. Alright, let's start with the hero that my camera is covering, which is the Plague Doctor. I think she's a really good starting point because she has really high damage, namely Plague Grenade and Noxious Blast. Plague Grenade is an AoE to the back rank that hit both of them, dealing a bit of initial damage and dot them to 3 and 4 if upgraded Blight for 3 turns. Noxious Blast on the other hand is a single target that can hit the 2 front row. It deals more Blight, has more Blight piercing when you can combo. It also deals a bit of initial damage, and that's important because that will help remove the block from enemies so that your other heroes don't have to deal with the block, right? She also has Battlefield Medicine, which is really good. It is a dot removal and also heals people, but it can only heal if the target has less than 50% HP, which is fine, right? Dot can become very scary later on, and just having a heal that removes dot and gets people off death throw when you need to is super handy. This is one of the best support skill in the game. She also has Magnesium Rain, which is an AoE to the entire enemy team. It deals some burn and then it clears the crops, and it's always nice to have some crops clears in your team. This also can remove dodge token on enemies. Some fight you walk in and enemies have 2 dodge tokens each, so this one skill will help remove 4 dodge tokens in total, and help your team take them down faster. She also has Indiscriminate Science, which is a heal skill that when upgraded will remove all negative tokens along with positive tokens, sadly, but you get heal for each of those tokens. So this can be a very big heal if your hero can generate tokens or if your hero has been debuffed by enemies. And the cool thing about this is that it has no limited uses, like Battlefield Medicine, which can only be used 3 times per fight. This can be used over and over again, but it does have 1 turn cooldown. This is good for larger bosses that likes to debuff you with nasty stuff. So you can turn all that into heals while removing all the negative things. And if the fight lasts long, you can, you can continue healing. And this skill, when used correctly, will often get your hero back to full health instantly. She also has other skills that are useful, but I find the most situational. And these skills are already enough for her to do, to do what she wants to do in the comp, which is deal damage and heal. The only skill that I would pay attention to is Incision. It's for when, your team need a bit of bleed for some zone that resists more blight, or for in case you get shuffled. So early on, I would actually go for Incision instead. And when I arrive at the final boss or so, I will upgrade Indiscriminate Science and then use it. Alright, so overall, right, Plague Doctors, she has high Blight on all ranks. A lot of enemies in this game, they don't resist Blight, and even the one that are resistant to Blight still can easily be blighted through a lot of sources like combo, like trinkets, like path, which we will talk about soon. And I think when you crit, they will also pierce through resistance more. So even blight resistance bosses and enemies can still be blighted, especially as a Plague Doctor. So yeah, so she has high damage on all ranks. She has AoE corpse clear. She has a heal that can cure stats. And with this path, the Alchemist path, she has more blight piercings, which is exactly what we want. She has extra 10% crit on blight skills, which is exactly what we want. And she has more resistance. The only downside is that it makes her more squishy, and she's already quite squishy. So squishiness is one of her weakness, and another one is that she has no skill that reposition her. So if she gets shuffled, she's gonna have a hard time going to the back unless other heroes can help her out. So Plague Doctor is a great starting point for the team here because she has so much damage, especially to the back rank. Plague Grenade is hands down the best back rank AoE in the game, and in DD1 killing the 2 back rank is really good. But in DD2 is even better because enemy in this game, they combo with each other more. So if you delete the back rank, it's like half of the combo is gone, so they can't do really scary stuff to you anymore. So I find that Plague Doctor is just good against 95% of enemies, and in fact that she's not good at, she still has Incision, she can still burn enemies if they resist Blight, and she has one of the best heals in the game. Honestly, I cannot say enough good things about Plague Doctor, but if you think one Plague Doctor is good, what about 2 Plague Doctors? Let me introduce you to Plague Doctor number 2.
A murderous melody lingers.
Alright, I call the Jester the second Plague Doctor, simply because of Encore. These skills, it just turns Jester into any hero he wants, right? It gives the hero that you choose an extra action this turn. So he's sacrificed his turn to give anyone, okay, Plague Doctor another turn. So Plague Doctor can move twice in the first turn, and then she can chuck out 2 Plague Grenades. And with 2 Plague Grenades, the backline's dead in, you know, 1 turn or 2. That alone is reason enough. But he also has the best stress heal in the game that can remove horror. He also has a really nice skill that can blind enemies and also combo them if you upgrade it. And this skill goes very well with Razor's Witch, which already combo enemies. These 2 skills, right? This one move him back, this one move him forward. So he will just dance back and forth like this while comboing enemies, so he can enable others. And he also has a pretty consistent bleed here that can weaken enemies. So this is quite nice against bosses that resist blight. You can bleed and you can make them take more physical damage. He has other cool skills too, but mostly I just use those 5. So first turn he will just sacrifice his turn for the Plague Doctor, and Plague Doctor will take care of the backline for you. And then after that, right, he can stress heal, he can, you know, back and forth. These skills, they don't do a lot of damage, but you know, he can help to, you know, remove block, remove dodge, death blow enemies, things like that. Just yeah, because he can shuffle around a lot, he helped to reposition other heroes. He helped your team combat shuffle. So for Jester, I like to go with the Virtuoso path. Gives him more speed and more health. More speed means that he will likely move first every fight. And when he moves first, that means Plague Doctor can move first. So with Jester and Plague Doctor, it's like you have 2 Plague Doctor that just double Plague Grenade the backline and delete them right away turn 1. But what if I tell you, you can have a 3rd Plague Doctor? Alright, introducing Flagellance. So Flagellant Acid Rain is, you know, very similar to Plague Doctor Plague Grenade. It also deals AoE blight to the backline. And yeah, it's pretty good. He also has a single target blight to the front, which is very similar to Plague Doctor. His kit is, he has a lot of, you know, utility, but his main point is blight and sustain. He has Deathless, which deal damage to himself and heal others. And the cool thing about these heals is that it doesn't require people to be at, you know, at half HP to heal them. It can heal them, you know, from any point. So you can top off people to full health. Same with Endure, right? You don't need to wait for them to go down to 5 stress before you can stress heal them. You can stress heal them right away. So this guy can get people to full health, no stress if you want. He also has a Lash's Gift, which is a self heal that buff others. That can also remove stun, which is super good. And most importantly is his Sepsis skill, which is like his ultimate skill. When he's at low health, he can deal big blight to enemies, and he can heal himself, heal half his total HP when upgraded. And the cool thing about his kit is that with the path, right, It doesn't give him any extra stats or things like that, but it changes how he functions. So the Maniac path will, you know, sacrifice Blight skills, but some of the skill will have more flexible positioning. We don't need that though. We want the Blight, we want the damage. But the X-Animate path is also pretty cool. Keep him at low health, his Blight will be even better. So Punish will do a total of 5 Blight instead of 4. Acid Rain will do a total of 5 Blight instead of 3, maybe? Let me see. Yeah, 5 Blight instead of 3, so, you know, with Acid Rain it can really stack the Blight quite insanely. The only thing that I don't like about this path is that Sepsis, right? Sepsis will just speed up all the Blight and just explode it, dealing a bunch of damage. But it will just remove the Blight from enemies, so this skill doesn't do any damage. It just speed it up, right? And it's not that useful in most fights, especially against high HP bosses. There are some bosses that you want to burst down quickly, which this could be nice. But this only healed him to 45%, which helped to keep him at low HP, which makes other skills better. But I think that I prefer him to be able to heal himself to full HP and just have more Blight to put on enemies instead of dealing no damage but just exploding the Blight. So X-Animate is very good. It's just playstyle, I think. It can be played the same way, but it's a bit more risky, more rewarding. I just dislike this Sepsis compared to, you know, instead of just stacking even more Blight on top of enemies, he will try to burst them down faster. So against some boss that have so much HP that you can't burst down, this is not gonna do very well. But against some boss that, you know, you want to burst them down quicker, then this can be quite nice. So yeah, I think it's very comparable to the Wanderer path. I think the Wanderer path is more easy to play though, because you have more HP to play with, right? Every time you go down to low, you Sepsis and you heal back to full. You know, healing back to half HP might be a problem, you know, in some hard fights. His other skill though, apart from Endure, I don't really care about. So if my team is high stress, I will swap to Endure. If I'm in some hard boss fight, I will take Lash's Gift to get our Death Door. He also has the Scourge path, which is actually really cool because the Punish and the Acid Rain stay the same as the Wanderer path. But Deathless, well, it heals both of them. It heals both self and target. Lash's Gift will no longer heal him off Death Door, but it will remove dots and remove horror, which is not as useful. You don't want to spend one turn to just remove those, you know. Like, the cool thing about him is that he can deal damage and heal himself at the same time, so that's why I like him a lot. Some other skill will, you know, do some weird stuff. I don't like that too much. The cool thing about this is Sepsis, right? It will also explode the dots like in the X-Animate path. But if you combo them, then you don't remove the dots. So it's like you double the dots, right? It's like you double the dots. It has potential to deal massive damage. The downside is that it doesn't heal him anymore. So I think it's gonna make it harder to operate this guy. So more reward, but less heals. Though this skill will heal himself and an ally. You know, it's really nice. And if you have Plague Doctor and the Flash, you can stack a lot of dot on enemies. X-Animate, I mean Sepsis, when you combo, you know, you can combo Jester with him. And then Sepsis them for a ton of damage. But I think for everyday, you know, zoning, maybe for normal battles, right? The normal Sepsis will just be better. And for some final boss, you know, the Sepsis from a Scourge might be better. But Sepsis from Wanderer is already good enough. And it just makes your life so much better on everyday mobbing, right? On the road. you can just, you know, smack enemies, take some damage. Every time you smack enemies with punish or last, you're gonna take some damage. Every time you heal an ally, you're gonna take some damage. But then you just save this enemy and heal back to full. I think that's just much easier to play. Alright, so yeah, so basically with those three, you know, you're gonna begin with Encore because, right, Plague Doctor is gonna Plague Grenade. When her turn comes, you're gonna Plague Grenade again. This guy turns come, you know, if the dot is not enough to delete the backline yet, you acid rain them again. And you know, with that, right, your turn, after one turn, the enemy backline is already taken care of. You don't need to worry about them anymore. And because of that, the backline won't be able to do any, you know, combo-y stuff, any nasty stuff to you. And then you're right, you can finish the front line, and you can heal, you can stress heal if you want, right? Basically, triple Plague Doctor comp. And you might think, should I add more backline damage to this comp, right? Just capitalize on this, just completely nuke the backline to oblivion. And I have tried Hellion with this comp. Hellion is also really good. She has just good consistent damage on all ranks, especially on the last row and on the front row with Howling's End. Very nice burst damage. She has stress heal. She has also very good self heal here. But ultimately, I think that this team, it needs more tankiness, it needs more protection. And that is where Leper comes in. I'm just kidding. This is where Man at Arms comes in, right? This guy, right, he asked, you know, he doesn't have the most damage, but he can also hit the 3 front rows with his simple crush skill, which is really nice. He also has a bit of self heal out of this with the Jester, with the combo. It's really good. The Defender is awesome when you need to protect someone in the backline. You know, our Plague Doctor is super squishy, our Jester has also squishy and with low resistance. So Defender is really good when the time comes. But Retribution, right? Retribution is just so good, right? It taunt himself, it gives himself block to tank enemies, and it repulsed. This already helped protect the team enough, right? And with all the healing we have from the Plague Doctor and the Flagellant, we don't really need to protect the backline too much, you know? You don't have to protect them that much. Because you delete the backline super fast, and you taunt the front line. Not a lot of things are gonna reach the backline, but sometimes it will. And that's when, you know, you got Defender and all the healings that we have. He also has Hold the Line, which can be cast from anywhere in the backline, and it will zip him right to the front and immobilize him there. So this is amazing for when your team gets shuffled. He can zip right back to the front, where he wants to be. Yeah. Really good repositioning skills. He also has Bolster, which is also one of the best healing skills, stress healing skills. He gives himself block, remove a lot of debuff on people, and, you know, heal 2 stress on himself and the target. And another skill that I like a lot is Bellow. Bellow, well, it hits every enemies, and it does make them slower, reduce their speed, but it also removes their crit, which is quite nasty. Sometimes on the harder difficulties, enemy just randomly gain a crit token, right? I don't know why, but something happens. There's something with the hardest difficulty, and enemy just randomly gain crits. Maybe it's the torch, I don't know. And also repulse is pretty annoying for our squishy, you know, heroes. They don't want to hit into repulse. So Bellow can remove that. And also, because it hit all the ranks, it can help to remove all the dodge stacks on annoying enemies, like a bunch of those spiders or cultists. Lots of dodge, and just remove those. So right, usually I go with maybe this setup for everyday fight. When the boss fight comes, I equip Defender. And this guy will just handle all the tank that we need, right? He can stress heal, he is a best tank in the game, and he can protect others. And also with this path, right, with the Vanguard path, he will be even more tankier, and he will have more base damage, more physical damage, which this team does like a little bit. It will give him less resistance, but you know, we got Plague Doctor, so we don't care too much about that. Yeah, so An Alchemist, Plague Doctor, a Virtuoso, Jester, Wanderer, Flagellant. But honestly, you can go with anything really. Maybe, yeah, maybe not Maniac. I don't think Maniac is that great. And the thing I like about this team is that it's very easy to execute. All you do is you just blight stack the backline. They are dead after turn 1 because of 3 blight stack, you know, to the back. And then the Madame will just do Retribution, tank up, and then you mop up the front line, and any damage that you take, right, you just heal. You know, like when you're waiting for them to die from the dots, you just heal if you need to. So for everyday travel, this card is amazing. Like when you delete the back line, you know, after turn 1, everything is super easy. And the thing about Darkest Dungeon 2 is that if you die, right, you kind of lose. You don't have the option to just retreat and start again. You know, all your efforts, you know, from zone 1, zone 2 is nothing if you die at zone 3. So you want as few failure points in the team as possible. And what are the failure points, right? Failure point is not being able to deal with big damage, right? Which our Madame deal with. He blocks, he guards, right? Big damage, no problem. Alright, another one is not being able to deal with dots, right? Though we do have lower resistance. Lower resistance with Vanguard and with Virtuoso here. We got Plague Doctor to deal with the dots, right? And we can also get people off death door easily with the Flagellant. Not being able to deal with stress is another failure points, which we have 3 stress healers, right? And the final 5 failure points, I think, is not being able to deal with shuffle, which this team is not, you know, immune against. Unlike a dense comp, let's say, the Plague Doctor and the Flagellant cannot move around with any skills, but Jester can shuffle himself around, and this guy can always zip back to the front line. So, you know, just the fact that your tank can go straight back to the front line will buy your team enough time to reshuffle into position. Unlike frontliner like Hellion can't really get straight to the front line. Leper can't really get straight back to the front line, but Manadam can. And if he can zip back to his front line, then your team can stabilize very easily. So those are the main failure points that I have found, and this team can deal with all that. Did I mention that Flagellant also has extremely high death door resistance? I'm not sure if I can show his stats, but he has maxed out death door resistance. He starts with 90% death door resistance, so he will almost never die, right? Unless you do something super wrong. He will also kind of immune to meltdown, unlike others. If he accumulates so much stress that he meltdown, he won't, you know, get like horrible debuff, but he will enter the toxic state, which make him even stronger. So yeah, like they resist everything. They resist everything, and not a lot of things resist them. Not a lot of things resist blight, right? You can combo to, you know, pierce through blight with Plague Doctor and Flagellant. You can use trinkets, and you know, Plague Doctor even has the extra 33% blight piercing with the path. And yeah. And also when you crit, you will pierce through resistance too. So that's why blight, you know, that's why enemy that resist blight is not a problem for us. Okay, so overall, this card, right, it has high dots on all ranks, right? Front row, back row, Plague Doctor and Jester can deal with. I mean, Plague Doctor and Flagellant can deal with. Jester can become anyone. If you need an emergency heal, you can encore Flagellant. If you need an emergency guard, you can encore this guy, you know. You need a, if you want to just blight check the backline, boom, you know, double Plague Grenade. If you need a emergency dot removal, you know, with Plague Doctor, and it's just a turn, you can just boom, encore Plague Doctor. do battlefield medicine. Right, Plague Doctor is any hero you want. That's so strong. It's kind of broken really. Not only this team has high dots on all ranks, it also has good damage negation from, you know, this guy with the blocks. Jester with the blind here is super good. It also has super high sustain with, you know, big heals. Deathless is heals. Sepsis is super heals. And even the Crush can self-heal him. Self-heal the Man-at-Arms. And, well, this card has 3 stress healers. With Bolster, with Endure, and with Inspiring Tune. And also, right, Plague Doctor crits quite a lot with the right trinket. And also, you know, she has 10% crit here. So whenever she crits, she kind of stress heal too. So that's super good. And this team can deal with shuffle quite handily, right? Man-at-Arms just sit back to the front. And Jester can swap people around, right? So, and also this card will aim to kill the general boss from the Tangle the most. He's the easiest for this card because, you know, we got lots of, you know, AoE in the backline. And you know, that zone is weak to Blight. And that boss gives you the trinket that just makes your team immune to shuffle. And also that boss drop the trinket that is really, really good for Man-at-Arms. So if you see the Tangle, you go kill the Tangle. This comp is also good versus the fire zone. Yeah, it's not the best. It's kind of, yeah, it is the weakest against the meat zone, against the baby. So be careful about that. But you know, you can still blight the baby and you can still bleed the baby if you need to. And the Leviathan is doable too. The Leviathan is, it deals a lot of AoE damage to everyone. Yeah, the backline is squishy and we can't, you know, like guarding is not that effective against them, so you might be careful about that. But overall, the Leviathan is not the worst either. So yeah, it can deal with everything, right? I have brought this team from Act 1 to Act 5, hard difficulty, and test it out. Like, I didn't have problem with anything really. But as any comp, right, this comp will have weak points. So what are those? The first weak point is that we have low physical damage. You know, basically non-existent for Plague Doctor, even though sometimes you just need 1 damage to deal with the blocks, right? And she has that. Jester, yeah, she has some damage, but this is nothing crazy. 3 to 6 everything. Right, nothing crazy here. But, you know, it can offer combo and blind while removing blocks. Usually, you know, that is good enough. And yeah, even with same here with faction, not a lot of physical damage at all. The best source of physical damage for us is from Man-at-Arms with Crush. That deals 50% more damage than normal, which is nice. So low physical damage. I said no enemies resist blight, which is true except for 1 enemy, which is the cannon. The cannon, well, it completely resists blight. Yeah, so it resists all the dots. So this team with low physical damage is gonna have a small problem with him. Good thing is the cannon I found to be not that strong. Even with this team, I can still kill it before it deals too much damage. Oftentimes, right, you can just fade to blind it, and it will miss. Otherwise, just keep smacking it, right? You just keep removing the block from the cannon, and then try to smack it with the crush from the Man-at-Arms. 3 turns or 4, it will die. And even if it lands a hit on your team, right, you can heal that. Don't worry too much about the cannon. And another weak point is that we have a very squishy backline here, so you're gonna have to pay extra attention to them. Alright, and I think the cool thing about this comp is that I just naturally arrive with this comp, right? First, like in the beginning, I prefer a more bursty comp with things like this Highwayman and Hellion. But then, right, I find that hey, blight stacking is very good. Let's make it better. And then I find that, hey, Hellion is not really protective of the backline, which is our weakness, so Mother just filled the spot perfectly. So is this comp the absolute best comp in the game? Maybe. Probably. It is comp a very easy to execute comp that can deal with everything from beginning to end under any circumstances. Absolutely. So if you're struggling through the game, try this one out. It's gonna help you out a lot. If you haven't tried this one yet, you know, give it a shot, see how good it is. And if you have any interesting comp that you want me to try out, tell me in the comments, I'll check them out. Alright, thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoy, and subscribe for more DD2 and Battle Bro content. Video out. See ya.